I'm Adrian, the cruise and travel guy, and recently a few comments on my videos have spoken about the environmental impacts of the cruise industry. Understandably, it's a topic that can be a little bit more emotive than others. Well, this week, CLIA, the Cruise Lines International Association, released its Environmental Technologies Report, which shows the cruise industry continues to strive towards its 2050 goal of net zero emissions. Since the cruise industry and cruisers tend to find themselves the targets of a lot of these environmentally motivated comments, I thought it would be interesting to check out the data. So let's have a look and see what it says. CLIA represents over 300 cruise ships across multiple cruise lines around the world. Of those 300, 19 currently support using LNG or liquefied natural gas. This fuel alone achieves a reported 20% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. Methane slip, which is a notable problem with LNG use, is, according to CLIA's report, on track to be almost eradicated within the next few years. Plus, those ships that can use LNG will be able to convert with no issues to using bio or synthetic fuels, which are basically carbon neutral. In fact, Ada Cruises, which falls within the Carnival Corporation umbrella, earlier this month began trialing 100% renewable biomarine fuel on board Ada Prima. The trial, which is designed to evaluate the use of this type of fuel in regular operations, is expected to have a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions of 85% compared to regular fossil fuels. The main issue, though, with this type of fuel is its lack of availability around the world and its marketable price, which is something that energy companies are working with the shipping industry on. Meanwhile, onshore power, which is another combatant for greenhouse gas emissions while a cruise ship is in port, continues to gather pace. 147 of CLIA's memberships can currently connect to onshore power, and that number is expected to grow to 239 by 2028, thanks to some retrofit conversions and a number of new ships coming online with that capability. The problem is that around the world, only 35 ports that cruise ships regularly dock in even offer the technology, which represents barely 3% of the world's ports. That number will grow to over 70 though, based on current development plans. Plus, major European ports will be required to have shoreside power available by 2030, and that's in addition to CLIA's commitment that all ships calling at ports capable of providing shoreside power must be equipped to use shore power or alternative low carbon technologies by 2035. Do a little digging online though, and it doesn't take much time to uncover a general distrust of the cruise industry and even cruise passengers like you and I. Why would anyone choose to take a cruise holiday when you can take a land-based holiday with a much reduced carbon footprint? In a 2023 article on the website Friends of the Earth, a comparison between a holiday on land and on a ship resulted in some unsurprising data points. According to the article, a traveler on a cruise ship is responsible for about 420 kilos of CO2 emissions per day, while a traveler on a carbon-heavy land trip or holiday would be responsible for about 81 kilos. Aviation forms the backbone of the world's travel network, and so I was curious about those carbon figures. A little research reveals that each passenger on a plane represents emissions of roughly 90 kilos of CO2 per hour of travel. That means that a typical family of 4 traveling from Australia to Europe by air would be responsible for about 8.2 tons of carbon emissions, and that's before they even do anything else. Decarbonizing the aviation industry is also presenting something of a mammoth challenge with little progress towards low carbon fuel use, but it's rare to see impassioned hordes protesting at airports. Conversely, the cruise industry is an easy target. Maybe it is the extravagance and the opulence of cruising, or the fact that the mainstream media is always readying itself for the next cruise takedown. Marcy Kiva of Friends of the Earth stated, "Cruise companies like to parade their commitment to cutting plastic pollution and using less energy on board, but they ignore the one factor that has the greatest impact on carbon emissions, the massive volume and low quality of fuel they use. There is no longer any any doubt that land-based vacations, even with plane and car travel, are overwhelmingly less polluting than getting on a cruise ship. There is truth to that statement, and while I'll never put my head in the sand about the environmental impacts that the cruise industry has on the planet, I will also not ignore the massive strides that the cruise industry is taking to better itself and the experience that we cruisers can have. Investment in research, new technologies, new fuels, and expanded onshore power availability is worthy of parading, in the words of Kiva. While net zero of 2050 might be a lofty goal that is still 2.5 decades away, CLIA is overseeing it with conviction. For some types, though, it will never be enough, and they will claim that the cruise industry is greenwashing all of their reports and data and facts. At the same time, they'll shame you and I for choosing a cruise holiday in the first place. It is what it is. The world is made up of many different opinions and types of people, so that's fantastic. As long as we can all have very responsible debates and discourse about it, that's fine. I do think, though, that some of these discussion points can come with a side of hypocrisy, because most of us live in developed countries where we take advantage of goods that are shipped to us every day via the oceans, the skies, the roads. We can all do our part, of course, and I'm glad that the cruise industry is making changes. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts? Do you feel more comfortable that the cruise industry is making these changes? Does that make you feel better about taking a cruise holiday? Or is it something that you wouldn't do because it's just not your type of holiday? In which case, if you've made it here to the channel, it's probably because it's an environmental video, so the comments should be fun. But either way, if you're looking to book a cruise, you can head to my website, thecruiseandtravelguy.com.au, and you can also give me a follow on Facebook and Instagram at thecruiseandtravelguy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. I'm Adrian, the cruise and travel. The main issue is the goal, and therefore its marketable price, which is something that is continuing to be developed on 147 of CLIA memberships can currently plug into onshore power, with that number expected to grow to 239.